In this video, we're talking about powers of negative bases. And remember, when we say powers, it's the same thing as exponents. So when we have exponents on bases that are negative, what do? So if we look at a couple of examples here, we have a negative base, right? A negative 3 raised to an exponent, so a power of a negative base. How do we handle this? Well, when we don't have parentheses around the negative 3, when we just have this negative and then the 3 squared, we essentially put parentheses around the base and the exponent, and we exclude the negative sign. In other words, we do the exponent first. We apply that first. 3 squared is 9, so we get 9, and we leave the negative sign out in front. If, on the other hand, we have parentheses around our negative and our whole number here, so we have a negative 5, and then we square it, we include the negative sign. So in other words, we do negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. The other way we can think about this, if we're ever unsure, remember that a negative 5 is the same as negative 1 times 5. So this is negative 1 times 5 inside our parentheses here, because negative 1 times 5 is negative 5, so we haven't changed it at all. When we square this, it's like squaring both values. So essentially this becomes negative 1 times negative 1 times positive 5 times positive 5. We have to square both factors. Well, a negative 1 times a negative 1, a negative times a negative gives us a positive because we can cancel every two negative signs. So this becomes a positive 1. 1 times 1 times 5 is equal to 25. So let's look at a little bit more of a complicated example here. In this first term, we don't have any parentheses, so this tells us do the 4 squared first and leave this negative sign out in front. So we'll go ahead and put parentheses around our 4 squared like this. We already have parentheses, Here we don't, so we can put parentheses around the base and the exponent like this. Now, when we do what's inside our parentheses first, 4 squared gives us a 16. So we bring the negative sign down here, we leave this in front, and we get 16 from 4 squared. We keep our minus sign. Now, because we have parentheses around our negative 2, this negative 2 raised to the 3 is like saying negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. The exponent, the 3, tells us that we have 3 factors of negative 2. So we can cancel every 2 negative signs. We have an odd number of negative signs left over, just this one negative sign. That tells us our answer is going to be negative 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So negative 2 cubed is a negative 8. So then we say negative 8, which is the result of this whole thing here. That becomes negative 8, this becomes negative 8, the minus sign here we leave. Now we have plus 3, negative 1 squared is going to be negative 1 times negative 1, which is a positive 1. Then we keep our minus sign here, and 2 squared is 4. Now we're going to continue simplifying. We get negative 16 minus a negative 8. We can cancel these 2 negative signs. This is like saying plus 8, so we get plus 8. 3 times 1 is 3, so we get plus 3, and then we have a minus 4. Now, if we want to, we can go straight left to right, or we can add all of our positive numbers together. We have positive 8 and positive 3. That's going to give us positive 11. And then our negative numbers. We have a negative 16 and a negative 4, which is going to give us a negative 20. Our negative number is greater than our positive number, so we know we're going to end up with a negative answer. 11 minus 20 is going to give us a negative 9. So just remember, if you have parentheses around your negative sign and your base here, you're essentially applying this exponent to the negative sign as well as the whole number. If you don't have parentheses, you're only applying the exponent to the whole number, and you just bring this negative sign, you leave it out in front.